Hello everyone, I'm Deacon Christian. After a wonderful summer, I am back here at Sacred Heart Major Seminary in Detroit to continue with my last year of seminary studies, and myself and all of the other seminarians at this point are now back at school, back into the routine of seminary life, and as we begin this new academic year, we really are grateful for your continued prayers and support of all of us. And this week, we enter into the 24th week of Ordinary Time. And the Gospel which we have been given comes from Mark chapter 8. And in the beginning of the Gospel, Jesus really strikes the curiosity of his disciples. And he asks them, who do men say that I am? And others, the disciples say, some say Elijah, some say John the Baptist. And then Jesus challenges them with one of the greatest questions, not just for his disciples, but for every one of his believers, when he says, but who do you say that I am? Who do you say that I am? And Peter answered, you are the Christ. You are the Messiah. We might think that this is an obvious statement that his disciples would make. Well, of course, Lord, you are the Messiah. You are the Anointed One. You are the Christ. But Peter's confession of faith in this moment is remarkable. In fact, it's quite significant that Peter, in a moment of divine enlightenment, would come to acknowledge Jesus' true identity. Because in many ways, who Jesus is and what he has come to do and what he has talked about, the kind of Messiah that he is not how Israel thought the Messiah would be. And Peter has this great moment of supernatural knowledge that you are the Christ, and he declares his confession of faith in Jesus. But then when we continue with the gospel, we see a very human part of Peter. And that is he still had to continue to learn who Jesus was. Because Jesus goes on to tell his disciples that the Son of Man will suffer many things. He will be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and he will be killed. But after 3 days, he will rise again. But Israel did not expect their Messiah to be killed. They expected a great king, someone who would conquer all the nations, make of them a great kingdom. And it said that Peter, upon hearing this, took him and began to rebuke him. And Jesus responds to him very boldly, saying, "Get behind me, Satan." In other words, get behind me, you of the enemy of your own thoughts. You are not on the side of God, but of men. This is right after Peter just declared that he was the Christ. Lord, you are the Christ. And then Peter goes on to say, no, Lord, that's not what's going to happen. That can't happen. And Peter is a model to each one of us because he reminds us that we have to continue to have our hearts open to the Lord and his teaching. That if we declare Christ as Lord, if we declare him the Christ and the Lord of all things, it also means that everything that Jesus says, everything that he has given to his church, everything that he has told us is true. And in today, in a world where there's a lot of opposition to the church from the world and church teaching, maybe there's own teachings of the church that perhaps you find challenging, but even in our own challenge, do we seek the Lord and really ask him for understanding? And Peter reminds us that we have to continue to have our hearts purified to the words of Christ, to the message he gives us, because we ultimately have to trust in him and know that even if we don't understand, what Jesus has said will be for our benefit. What Jesus has commanded will be for our benefit. Ultimately, the fact that Jesus would be rejected, that he would be killed, was for our salvation. Out of the worst act of humankind, the crucifying of the Savior, we crucified the one creator of the world. God brought about our entire salvation. And on the third day, he rose again. And so when Jesus gives us a message that is hard, when Jesus gives us something that we have to wrestle with, maybe there's a teaching of the church we want to wrestle with, remember Jesus' words to Peter, you are on the side of God, you are not on the side of God, but of men. Let us be encouraged to trust in the Lord, to trust in his word, to trust that he is the Christ, so that everything that he has shared with us, everything that he has given to us, all that he has taught us is for our own good and for our own salvation. God bless you.